Alright, so I'm gonna talk about settling down in relationships and how I think that typically leads to things like cheating and dishonesty within a relationship. Maybe I'm talking out of my ass, of course, um, but I'm just based on what I've observed from several of my friends and just other people's relationships. It's always been really confusing because when these people are settling down, that to me that's always meant that they're not entirely happy with those relationships. And they think that's like not going to eventually the other person in that relationship isn't going to catch on, is not going to, understand that or see through that. But I think they usually do, from my experience, from what I've seen, is like a lot of these people will know that they're not like the first option and that they're not their first option, he's not her first option, whatever the fuck. And that usually ends up, especially I think after the honeymoon period of the relationship, it usually that'll probably show up even more. I don't really have much experience in this field because I've had one relationship prior to it, and then that was kind of the same thing in that case. She was not really satisfied with me and she never really brought it up, and I kind of felt like that eventually, and we just kind of saw separate ways. Um, they're not they I've never understood because you hear so much about this accountability, responsibility bullshit, and these people don't communicate to their partner that they would like them to do this or that or whatever the fuck. But sometimes it's based on things that they can't change, like their face or their height or whatever. They're not really completely satisfied. And realistically, most people are probably going to have to settle down at some point for whatever the fuck. And that's why I think the part of the reason why I think divorce rates are so high is just that they settle. You know what I mean? When you settle for shit, then you're gonna want more. Sometimes even when you have settled, depending on how greedy you are, you're still gonna want more. You eventually acclimate to that and you're gonna want more. But settling has always just been like you're sort of not entirely satisfied with it, and a lot of these people don't tell their partner, won't ever tell their partner, yeah, I'm just settling for you because you're my best option. They just have to pick that up on themselves, and that's what just leads to cheating and dishonesty and just all sorts of bullshit. These people aren't honest people, and they're going into relationships and they're expecting them to work out. I don't understand why people go into these things with such like naive sort of ideals, because like people aren't interesting or special. They're just kind of predictable and primal. There's nothing like special. No one's relationship is special. Everybody's just full of shit when it comes to that. I think. I mean, you see that all the time. Is like you see these ripped dudes with these fat fucking women, and maybe some of them are actually genuinely attracted to them, but they're not really satisfied with that. Like they probably don't want that sometimes. And sometimes those fat women will lose the weight and then they'll leave. They never really loved them in the first place. I feel like that just opens up a whole world of just cheating and dishonesty for like on both sides of the spectrum. Men have to settle a lot and women have to settle. And that just leads to nothing good.